So, being Module 1, titled Introduction to COMETSA DJs Broadcasters Development Program 2020-2021. When we talk about DJs, broadcasters, facilitators, hosts, co-hosts, we're talking about you. And I'm glad that some of you are already starting to refer to yourself as DJs. Indeed, you are not wrong. We're using the adult learning approach, which means it's learning by doing, and not for the benefit or for the purposes of titles, but for the purposes of doing immediately. And that's why you already have slots allocated to you, so you will get better by doing. But obviously this lecture and these regular lectures are meant to equip you with the insights and a little bit of content. But we are going to be learning together. As you'll see, we will put the modules as we move along. So I've put this module 1 to give you a broader overview of what other modules are going to be about. So if you have this module, then you know exactly what the 14 months are going to be. And we will be enjoying your progressive growth as we tune into your programs, and the radio station giving you statistics that will be reflective of where you are in terms of your level of knowledge. This is a beautiful, beautiful way of learning. We have done now with the introduction. Introduction in radio is a very critical part of your work. Every time you start a program, you will introduce yourself, you will introduce your guest, you will introduce your topic, and you will then start the show. That is fundamental, and that's why we've spent time doing that. But also in terms of that model of Bruce Tuckman, team development, it's very important for us to look at ourselves as a collective. There are not going to be stars and failures. There's just going to be only a group of DJs and broadcasters that are going to be trying to achieve the same level of quality. So when we see you battling with something, we will head inside until it's sorted. The programs, there are 3 programs. The first program is what we call weekdays, Monday to Friday program. We have shared those with you. If you don't have that schedule, just drop a note, he will send it to you. So, and these Mondays to Friday programs, that is where we are going to volunteer additional work ourselves into, because we are not scheduling anybody fixed. That is where you feel like, I've done very well, I need to even go and practice more. Can you schedule me for an afternoon entrepreneurship ecosystem variety show? And then we put you in and then you practice. The second group of courses, which is our Rolls Royce, is 1st to 4th weeks monthly program. That's where most of you are slotted in. It's one program once a month that you need to plan for. That has to be the best of the best, because it is where your skill is really going to show up. Because you will be mindful about the guest you are inviting. We will advertise it way in advance. You will be mindful about the topic you are addressing, and you will plan for it with me and Mike, and then you will deliver it. And like all other programs, immediately after that, that show will be converted into a podcast and posted as authored by you. And when people Google your name, you will come as the author of that program. That's where really you are going to produce your track record. The same goes to weekends programs called Saturdays, Sundays, weekends programs. Same setup. So those of you who are doing weekends programs, it is advisable that you always a month ahead, because your program is dependent on what is happening in the week, and you build around that and what is happening in the sector around sports, arts and culture and entertainment, most of it. So as much as you will be training and educating people around the nitty-gritties of your sport, art and culture, those are very emotive type of topics. You can't be talking about how best to manage an event and Barcelona is playing Manchester United and you don't comment on it and use it as an example. That's why I say it has a different type of a dynamic in that if you want people to come on show, take them along with what is happening. And then don't forget about asking Jenny to give you the US sports people, because we also want to talk about American football. We also want to talk about basketball, NBA. We also want to talk about athletics. We want to talk about how is MSL progressing. So we are a team to help each other to enrich and bring knowledge to people that will have not been brought through. Yeah. So those are the three subdivisions of your program. The difference between us and other DJs is that our strength is on the content and we are the subject matter expert. However, we are going to learn not to be the one who's hawking the show, but to facilitate. The problem with that is if you know so much about the topic, you forget that you are actually facilitating. You end up being the one who's actually delivering the topic. And yet you have a guest with you. So just be mindful of that. The fact that you are equipped, you are knowledgeable, does not mean that you must take over and be the one delivering the content. That's why you are called a DJ, a facilitator. The roles. We also want you to consciously, as I've stated, be aware that at a point in time in a show, you will have Michael at the background as a production manager and station manager, and you will have me. I regard myself as a mentor and coach because when I say I'm going to be a co-facilitator, I don't necessarily mean that I'm going to take over. I mean I will be there to see where you need assistance with, and also to intervene when things go out of hand and go out of control. Look at me as your co-facilitator, but as somebody that is there to help when you are actually stuck somehow or another. And then there will always be a guest that you will have invited, and hopefully there will be two guests or a co-host with you. The studio, our virtual studio takes yourself plus two more people at a time. But if it's two of you being a co-host, you need to decide whether you want both of you to be at the same time on the show, or you want one of you to step back so that you can accommodate two guests, or you go both of you onto a show and then you have one guest. Yeah, that will be dependent on the type of guest you invite, and that will be dependent on the question. Be careful not to bring two powerful people at a time into your show, because then you'll have a problem where they feel underutilized. So don't just get excited and say, I'm going to bring two guests. You must find out if it is necessary for them to be complementing each other. If you bring a very top-notch speaker, that is people, the guests are interested in. They don't want anybody else to be coming in between. So those are the little tricks we're going to be learning. Yeah. So that is important to know the roles of the people. And then Michael and I will always be preparing you. We will always be making you look good. We are interested in you looking good. It is your show. It is your enterprise. It is in our interest that you do very well, because when you become a star, the radio becomes a star. We want this place to be the place where people come and learn. Preparations is something that is also very important. I thrive on preparation. I would rather not sleep preparing for something than going into something that I'm half prepared and be embarrassed. And you must have noticed that I send you a lot of information in the early hours of the morning. It's not that I always do that. I do that when something is new. I do that when something is dependent on me. I will do that if I'm not comfortable that I'm ready. So don't always say, I know the topic, I know this case, I'm used to it, and therefore I don't have to prepare. The listeners will pick it up. Yeah. So preparation is very important. How do you prepare for the show? And every person has a different approach, and that is what we want. We want you to emerge with your own approach, and we want to know that, like the performers will do, they will rehearse until the last second. They will double check until the last second. So make sure that you don't. Rather, if you over prepare, the show becomes very lighter. Yeah? Very, very important. Develop your own standard template and don't be too hard on yourself. Over time, your own template will emerge. Yeah. So that's very important. And then, of course, the next point is being fully present. What to pay attention during the show. I've been doing radio a lot. A lot of people don't know. I've been in radio for years as a guest. SABC, SAFM, 702, Radio Metro. And I can tell you, if you are not fully present in a radio, within seconds, your audience will know. Yeah. So it's very important to guard that. Don't allow yourself to be not fully present and then you are hosting your show. And that is one of the main requirements for effective hosting and facilitation of a show is to be fully present. Actually, if you don't know much about how to go about it, but you are fully present, you will appear like you know much. Because professionally you are trained. Yeah. That means you must be awake at all times through the show. Make sure that the night before your show, you rest and sleep enough. That's why we're doing body, mind, and soul. Your body will never lie to you. Your body talks to you. If you didn't sleep at night and you are having a show tonight, during the day, sleep for 1 hour. Rather. Very important. And we know this is a challenge because you're doing this as a part-time job, but over time, you will see the value of this. So now, when we are saying you are a qualified broadcaster, is when you are aware of these little things. As I tell you that things happen in studio. Things do happen. And if you are not aware, sometimes you get stuck, you don't know what to do. Sometimes you are in a studio and then the phone rings because you forgot to switch it off. You can't say, oh, sorry, no. You interject. That on its own is like an addition to your show. You create it, you bring it into the mix. Yeah. Self-development is very critical, and that's why we are doing what we are doing. How do you develop yourself into efficient and effective DJ broadcaster? This is the role that requires your intellect. We are not a radio station that just tackle issues. We want your intellect to emerge. Yeah. We don't say go and read overnight. We say the level at which you are, we want that to come out. And we want to see how you progress over time. And the listeners will also enjoy that. They will tell you that you are hitting it, my friend. You are growing. No listener will take you head on. Once you are in front of the mic, everybody expects you to be the best. Even the professors, I've seen that, believe you me. When you are on the platform, very few people will think you don't know much. Because they themselves say, why am I not there? If this person can be in the studio, it must be the guru. He might just not be on top form today. So don't self-judge. Just be yourself. But make sure you develop yourself and engage in a lifelong learning. And I'm not talking going to courses or whatever. Just have the mindset of every time that you will learn and qualify yourself. Remember, there is very few internet broadcasting radio stations. People will be wanting to come and learn from you. So you are the guinea pigs. Don't compare yourself to conventional radio and say, so-and-so at Metro FM and Power FM is the best, and how do I become like him? You can never be like him. They are not in an internet radio station. Ours is actually affected by other dynamics which they don't have. Sometimes your people want to talk to you, but they don't have a network and they get that interruption. When the network goes down, you must interject with that and talk about 4IR and the poor infrastructure that we have and make that a topic. Yeah. Beautiful stuff. So as a host, you must keep up with trends in specific topics, and in general, reading is the one sure way of addressing this demand. People will know if you depend too much on textbook. And that will not help anybody. Nobody wants to go to the university and read the textbooks. The people want you to address the real current issues. And if you don't read, you'll fall short. Yeah. So that's very, very important. I don't say change overnight and read newspapers. Just be conscious that there must be trends, hashtags, and know what is current, and then you will then emerge. Managing the schedule, what brings down a radio is when the schedules are not managed. Because what is going to happen with internet radio station, if you are late, the auto DJ takes over. There will never be a silent moment. You've announced a show to start on top of the hour. You are not yet on show. Auto DJ just play. And the statistics shows people dropping off. Instantaneously, by the way, Michael and I were able to see stats while the show is going on. When you hit the high note, we see the numbers going up. Because people are connected on their mobile. When it's hitting the note, high notes, they text their colleagues and say, just tune in, my friend, I'm listening to this great guy called Stumo Chilwan. You have to and we see the stats going up. That is the beauty of internet radio station. We can even tell where they are looking from in the world and what platforms they are using, whether it's the mobile or the laptop or the iPad. The stats tell us. That's beautiful. Yeah. So that's very, very important. Promoting your show. We have I've sent you a draft that I did for Patrick, because Patrick is launching on the 1st of November with some high-profile shows. He will guest. He will tell you at the right time. But I've given that template to you. Mike must have emailed you minutes before we started. Look at it. We are going to use the same template to brand your show with your photo on it. And that is going to be a standard e-flyer. Every time you talk to people, you will send around and then promote yourself. If you don't like your photo, you just send the next beautiful studio photo to Mike. We will change it because it will always be digital. Our designers are always willing to assist. Take that very serious. That's why I was saying to you, go to the studio and take a professional photo. Don't make a cell phone photo and send. People will tell that it's not professional. And once here's the thing: once your promo moves into social media space, it's there. Even if you change it afterwards, it's the first one that appears. That photo that you don't like will remain. So be aware of that. As much as you are the DJs broadcast at COMETSA Radio, you're still the face of your own company. You want to be able to proudly to say, watch this, I, Jenny, the head of Extraordinary, I am also a DJ. People see Jenny of Extraordinary before they will see COMETSA Radio. Especially with things going viral. Okay? So it's very important that over and above our efforts of promoting you, you will also have your own e-flyer that you will go viral, because the stats is yours. You want to know that you are hitting high numbers. Collaboration with the production team, I've mentioned that all the shows rise and fall on the collaboration between the host and the production team. This is very important. Joint planning between the two teams, even a few minutes before the show, could save a disaster from happening. Very important. Sourcing of guests for the show, that is your authority and that is your expertise. Think about how you are going to source guests for your monthly shows. Identify the source of the guests. Where are you getting your guests from? Is it from LinkedIn, Google, from the conferences that you visit? And build your own potential guest database. Contact them, give them heads up. Don't surprise them. Say, listen, I'm hosting a show once a month at COMETSA. You look like you might be a good guest for us, and see how they respond. Because sometimes people who don't want to say no to you, they just say, that's fine, you can do it. Give them an option of saying no or yes, so that you know that you bring people who are interested, not people that want to do a favor because one day before you did something for them. They must be wanting to be your guest, because they are your extension. You shine through them, And make sure that you get their email address and you get their mobile. To be on our studio, we need your email address, because all what we do, we send you a link on your email, and then all what you do, you just click the link, and then you are in live in the studio. We can actually host your show while we're driving. So the email is very important, and then the cell phone is important, so that if we're struggling to get that person, we can contact that person. Because you are not going to be the ones calling people, negotiating to come in your show. All what you need to do is to tell Mike that I've got this case, here's the email, please invite them. We don't want you to be wasting too much of your time doing the logistics. That is our job. You are a professional host. You want to come to your show and the people are there. Great. And then, of course, Once you have identified people, please go and read their social media platforms. People's status change every day. Yeah. So, and also the things they're posting around, the things that happen around them, it just qualify you. The other point is the guest criteria for your own show. You are not going to have the same criteria for standard criteria for the shows. Your show is going to be unique, and therefore know the criteria that you want to you are looking at in identifying on the type of the guest one. The energy level, the reputation, the personality, over and above their technical expertise. What are you looking for in the type of the guest that you want to bring to your show? Building relationship with the guests, we mentioned that. It's always very good to invite people to your show that you have spoken to before, people that you know. You know, for people to be recommended to you and immediately invite them to your show is very risky, because you may invite people whose reputation is very bad out there. Do a little bit of wait and see. Let them tune in and listen to your show before you then invite them, so that they know what is to expect. Therefore, networking is going to be the skill you are going to have to develop. And I mean networking purposefully. Yeah. So that's very, very important. Gratitude, thank you, and post-show service. Once people have been to a show, before even Michael writes to them and say, thank you for being on the show, you need to say immediately after the show, just drop a note, thank you very much for being in my show. I hope you will visit again, but I'm sure the office will come back to you and thank you officially, because you are building the relationship with your clients. I want to stop there before now we're going to go into a series of conduct and just ask some few remarks from any one of you who wants to summarize and comment on what I've said. Feel free to pop up. Yes.
Let me sometimes become an icebreaker. I'm not sure I'll be an icebreaker, but let me ask this question. Is the 2-hour SSR pack appropriate or is it too long? Just a thought process from my side.
Come again?
A 2-hour session.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the second wave of one in 4 weeks, where you allocated a slot of 2 hours. I'm trying to think, is it 2 hours not too long at the beginning until you get used to, or just a thinking process my side?
No, you don't have to fill up the whole 2 hours. You are free how you plan it in between the 2 hours. You can split the show into units. You can have 30 minutes and from there switch off and take a break and play music and come back. Or you can have the whole 2 hours fully blown. So, Sydney can comment how his 2 hours went last time. Sydney, any comment on that?
It was like short because they were engaged. I wasn't even realizing that we did the full 2 hours, and I think I'll learn to look at the time. But I think when you are engaged and fully involved, it doesn't feel like it's long, because if you've got guests, sometimes you have to give them enough time to respond and try and digest what they're saying. So unless if we rush it, then people may not be able to grasp whatever is spoken. So I think 2 hours is very reasonable.
And there are those of you who will have 3 hours. It really is, you have a freedom to structure it. That is abundance of resource in the form of time. And if you are having 3 guests, remember I'm always there and you are there. Don't forget that you also talk. And then you will then have the 2 guests. They also talk. So you have the whole 30 minutes can be consumed by just introducing the guest and the topic. And then you have then the subject matter. Then there's a checkout. We'll talk also about the value of a checkout. We are an educational radio station. We don't want to leave things hanging, and people then say, we have heard this guy, but we did not really get the content, the subject matter, and therefore. So it's a very good question to ask, But we also want you to have that leeway, because some of you may want to tackle many subtopics. Some of you may say, I'm just going to focus on this. Let's say, Rabula, you are holding your Strategy 101 conversation. People may just want to talk about the strategy formulation as a concept. And then people will come with quotes. So you are in control. But checking in, checking out is our standard. That you cannot take away. You cannot plunge into a show before you introduce your guest speaker to the audience. Because you want your audience also afterwards to be able to contact that speaker, because maybe they can benefit from that speaker. You are also producing material for your podcast as well. That is going to be allowed forever as an educational material. We want the universities to visit, to consult your podcast, to use it for education. So you are producing, that's why once per month. It's very different to weekly programs. They can actually even make it shorter. But anyway, it's a good and relevant question. Thank you very much for raising that question. But we are not going to dictate whether you fill up all 2 hours or not. You decide yourself. We guide. Great.
Sam, those notes that you are reading from, are you going to email it to us?
Yes, they have been emailed as a draft. We will finalize them as a final document, and you will have it as a reference material. And all the subsequent modules are going to be built on these topics. We're going to go deeper into the topics.
Thanks.
Great.
So, Tima,
Yes?
so as much as you're saying that there is some flexibility in terms of how we utilize the 2 hours, I'm assuming that it's also important to still stick to a particular format within that. So if you decide that in those 2 hours you'll only speak for like an hour, it's important to consistently do that so your listeners know what to expect, or is it just flexible to one session you speak for 30 minutes, the other you speak for an hour? How far does the flexibility go in terms of how we utilize the 2 hours?
Yes, good question. Remember I said that your show is like your own enterprise. And we don't want to prescribe how you want to package and brand your show. As long as you are conscious and intentional about what it is that you are creating. I will always say that introduction, conversation, check out. If you do 1 hour, you still have to accommodate that, because that's very structure of our talk show. We are not having phoning in. It's not a phoning in shows. And you're going to be having times where you are not able to fill up 2 hours because the speaker is not really living up to expectations. Yeah? Is it clear, Tembela?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. So we are having broadcasters who are treating themselves as entrepreneurs. I don't want to interfere there, because then otherwise your uniqueness is not going to come out. But just be aware, as you have mentioned, that you need to brand yourself going forward. Sit down and have your own template. Let's rather us contribute to bettering your template than prescribing to you. Right? There's no right or wrong. There's no best or poor. There is just your way. But be aware. You can't introduce this approach to your listeners and later then change it and then bring another approach. You will have caused damage. But sometimes change is beautiful. You can actually make your own, that topic can become a conversation itself. Well, how do you experience me, guys? Give me feedback. Drop us an input into the call center email. By the way, we will always ask people to give feedback by writing to the call center email address, and we'll share that input with you. Great. So let's now move into what I call series of conduct. And again, this will inform how you then structure your show. And here I have listed them. We have spoken about self-introduction. Don't shy away in every show to really tell people who you are. I know some of us, we feel embarrassed to talk about yourself. This is radio. Our product is talk. Obviously, in a measured way. Because every time we will have what we call unique listeners. People who are coming for the first time. And say, I've introduced myself, you know me, Mus. No. That's not going to work. You have to always assume that there are people that are tuning in for the first time that do not know you and introduce yourself. So self-introduction cannot be underestimated. And again, as I've said, every show will be produced into a podcast and it will be going out there and people will be reading it for the first time there. Conduct number 2, introduction of co-hosts. This is very important. You know, please, your co-hosts are not like a spare wheel of a car. Yeah? Your co-hosts are equally hosts. So talk to them and make sure that they are recognized. Make sure that they are also given opportunity to interject if they have to interject. And make sure that you are introducing them the way they want to be introduced. And if they are the colleagues who are having their own programs that they are hosting, tell the people about that as well. I'm having Tembela as the co-host, but keep in mind that Tembela hosts our regular digital marketing 101 conversation on such a day. Please also tune in there so that you can also be her listeners. So it's called cross-selling in between. Introduction of guests, we spoke about that. This is very fundamental because what this program and the radio is going to be doing, those of you who have listened to our previous interviews, we are very much interested in highly profiling people. That's the nature, that's our culture. So introduction of guests is really profiling of people and always also refer people to the social media platforms of these people so that there is a follow-up engagement with these people so that they see value for coming onto our radio. Introducing the station, I've always said that this is your platform, this is your home. If you do very well, the station is going to be popular. If the station does very well, you are going to be popular. So you are like a finger and a nail, if I use. I don't know whether there's something like that in my language. That time we say limonala. Jenny wouldn't understand that. It really basically means one and the same thing, two sides of the same coin. So if you under-introduce the radio, you do a disfavor to yourself. If you under-introduce yourself, you do a disfavor to the radio. We want people to know that we have got this high caliber of broadcasters. And this is we have produced this standard for you, and I will read it. And I've bettered it since we have done it last night. We at COMETSA, we will not forgive you for that if you fail to introduce the radio station. And this is how it goes. And take your time to do that. Normally we have a tendency to rush things when we are talking about ourselves. I have learned this in the past. When you introduce yourself is when you really take it easy. Don't rush. People want to know who they are talking to. So COMETSA Radio is a business, entrepreneurship, and professional management services 24/7 internet streaming radio station broadcasting from South Africa to the entire world. Very important. We inform and entertain. You don't have this in your document. You'll get it when you get the next document. We are following a concept called IDEA, IDEA. That stands for we inform and entertain. That's the I. The D, we develop and educate. The E, we empower and support. The A, we associate and network. That is the idea. That is who we are and that's what we stand for. We broadcast music and talk shows across the world. Our objective is to use the African storytelling and Lekgotla conversation methodology in offering career, coaching, education, learning guidance, continuous professional development, enterprise development, entrepreneurship development, and connecting demand with supply. That is very important. We want people to hear you and want to follow up with you and do business. Our talk shows aim to affirm and support businessmen and women, entrepreneurs and professionals in their personal and professional journey of bringing difference to the world. These are talk shows that recognize excellence and greatness. We have a network of associates, members, and stakeholders who know our quality standards and therefore make recommendations to our production team. The conversations become lifelong account of our guests' work. The stories also aim to tell the humane side of these businessmen and women, entrepreneurs and professionals by demonstrating that they are not special human beings. They too started from humble beginnings. We can all emulate them. We are building a solid ecosystem of businessmen and women, entrepreneurs and professionals committed to the empowerment of others, collaboration across sectors, sharing of insights and knowledge, building a space for succession and inheritance, and safeguarding the legacies for generations after us. That is our duty and responsibility. We want potential customers to know about the products, services, and solutions available in the ecosystem. This is an enterprise and professional development program initiative that knows no borders. Music played by COMETSA Radio is world music and appeal to all people of the world. We are therefore a truly African radio station with a global reach and appeal. And COMETSA Radio is listed on the database or in the database of music in Africa. And that is basically the introduction that we want you to get used to sharing with people. And as I say, don't feel rushed because we want people to really know what we stand for. Conduct number 5 is check-in, and you have experienced check-in now. And tell me, how did it feel when you were going through the check-ins and introduction? Because check-in and introduction is one and the same thing. How did you experience it yourself? What emotions were you experiencing? Any comment?
I felt like I was trying to figure out what exactly do I say. It's good to check in. I enjoyed hearing everyone else's check-in, but I was trying to monitor whether or not that was going to be too short or too long. So I do like that you have let us know to make sure that you fully introduce yourself when you're doing the program.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I feel when you do a check-in, you want to set a proper tone for the rest of your program or the day or whatever the purpose of that check-in is. And it could be a little bit intimidating at times, but once done and done proper, I think it sets you on for the rest of whatever you're going to be doing. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it also allows people to deal with the butterflies.
Correct.
Yeah. And you can check in also by if there are current events that are trending. It also helps. The purpose is you don't want to rush in and then people are still nervous. The voice is shaking and, by chit-chatting, people settle down, So check-in is very important. Contact number...
Check in the beautiful music on the show.
Come again?
Can you check in the beautiful music?
Oh, yes. You just ask Mike and I to cue a particular song that you love so much that you listen to regularly on the show. We do that instantaneously.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and then facilitate. If there's one thing that you must take away from this module as a host and a DJ is, your job is to facilitate, nothing else. You see, it's like chairing a session. A coach, a chairperson or a facilitator that forgets the function of facilitating can be an irritation to your guests. And it can be an irritation to the listeners. So just keep that in mind. Focus on facilitating. And if you forget that, just refer to our Lakota methodology. If you don't have to interject, don't. If the show is flowing, just don't force yourself to talk. You don't have to. You only interject if you feel that maybe the speaker is overdoing it, is eating too much into time, then you can do that. But to come and share your opinion when the show is flowing, it's like you want to be on the seat of the guest. And this is an art. Those of you who have done facilitation of workshops, those of you who are coaches, you will know you're not going to acquire these skills overnight. It's going to take a long time for you to learn to take a back seat and enjoy the job of facilitating than doing the talking yourself. And we will give you feedback because we'll pick it up when you are forgetting that role. Conduct number 6 is affirming and motivating. That is a very important role. When a speaker or a guest has said something that is really hitting the high notes, it's your job as a facilitator to affirm them, say, oh, spot on. Beautifully said. Because the guests are always also nervous. They look confident, but deep down they are tense. And when you do interject and motivate them, you give them courage because you want them to be at their best. Lead conversations. Your performance yardstick is how you lead the flow of the conversations. A good host and facilitator recognize the conversation, that the conversation is flowing with a particular idea and allows it to be explored to the end and package it. So let's say you decided to cover 10 topics or subtopics. At topic number 3, the guest is just sitting on that. He's not moving. Don't worry. Some people get pressurized by their own agenda. I wanted to cover 10 people. This guy is sitting on topic number 3. When are we going to get to number 10? And then you start rushing people. Meanwhile, the flow is just stay there. You can rather invite the person back to the studio. There's no syllabus to cover. You understand? Yeah? You could be going into a show and then 5 minutes before the show there's breaking news. Are you going to ignore breaking news because you have got an agenda? No. Because you will lose listeners. They will move to another station where they are talking about the breaking news. And then the stats will show from 50 down to 5. You can't be happy. So those are some of the things we need to be aware. And then follow up. If a guest mentions something that is powerful, follow up. If it was a Sydney and Ice show, we'll say amen to that. Yeah, that is an acknowledgement that amen. Because it's a natural thing. We don't want you to choreograph your show. We want you to really truly be with the moment that you have brought yourself in. Conduct number 9 is challenging respectfully. We don't want you to agree when things are not backed by evidence or by facts, but please challenge your guests respectfully. This is your guest, you brought them in here. Don't start embarrassing them and start arguing with them because you will lose them and it will be very, very bad out there. But don't shy away from challenging. If somebody bring something that is a research, what type of a research is it? Has it been applied? What is evidence that you are showing? Because you want listeners to go and follow up on these things. Conduct number 10 is debates and arguments. There's a difference between debates and arguments. And be aware when something is becoming an argument between you and your guest, and just figure out how you will close the argument. And the Lokota methodology will help you there doing that. Agree and then to disagree with the people. And say, like, I want us, dear guest, I want us to revisit this topic. Will you want to be back with another subject matter expert? They will literally say, yes, that's wonderful, because people want to come back. Listening is very important. As a facilitator and host, you need to speak less and listen more. Because all of us, we want to be listened to. You know that. You will never find people competing with you in terms of listening. But in terms of talking, you will have the whole world competing with you. A good facilitator take a back seat and listen. No eating in a show. We know our studio is a virtual studio. Don't say, it's a virtual studio, they won't see that I'm eating. They will know, they will pick it up that you are eating. And then, of course, focus. Pretend that you are entering a real studio and do not allow anyone around you to distract you. tell your family members that I'm now in a show, please. And sometimes you may even have to lock the doors if you don't want that disruption. The other disruption comes from the mobile phone. Don't put it on vibrate, please put it on silence. Vibration comes out very loud on the internet radio. Authenticity, try to be authentic and original as a host and co-host. We are not competing with anybody. Don't change yourself. We don't want this course to change you. Just use that tone that you are given. It's a God-given tone. People will get used to it. Just be clear and send messages that are communicating a valuable input. Projection. Remember that you are the eyes and the ears of listeners, even though you don't see them and they don't see you. Let them experience the show as if they are in the studio with you. Those who knows what we call a vibration at the same wavelength. The discussion will take you to the same length of vibration with your audiences, and the impact will be equally felt. So you are there representing the audience. Don't say they don't hear you. When you hit a climax, make sure that your energy level is at that level as well. Respect. Do not interrupt when one of the guests is still talking. I know this is a very difficult discipline to practice, because sometimes people just don't stop. But people don't stop because they haven't expressed themselves fully. And of course, if they overextend, interject and apologize. We will have to move on to the next topic. But don't just interject and don't apologize, because then that's very disrespectful. And then we spoke about promotion of your shows, that is done. And then we say, make your show go viral. Each show will be converted into a podcast at COMETSA Radio Podcast with you, the broadcaster, as an author. Therefore, the podcast gets published in iTunes, that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, TuneIn, Stitcher, and others. And literally, Sydney will tell you, within 15 minutes of putting it onto podcast, it's already on Google. You can Google, you'll find yourself there. Because our platforms are interlinked. And podcast.co, they have been given rights to distribute our podcast immediately they get published. So it's really very instantaneous. Sourcing of guests, we spoke about that. And then, of course, guest criteria, we said that apply your mind seriously in working out the criteria that you want to follow in terms of how to determine who to come in. We did not buy things like favoritism and nepotism. Please do yourself a favor. Don't bring people just for the sake of pleasing them. You will be very disappointed. Right? And in terms of our values, favoritism doesn't fly. Nepotism doesn't fly. Yes, if somebody is related to you, is a very good person, it can deliver quality, of course, by all means. But just because somebody is known to you and you bring them into your studio, you are actually corrupting your own image. Because if they fail to deliver, it's going to be you who will then be blamed. You just brought him because they are friends. Yeah. Subject matter experts is what must guide you, because you are wanting to really impact on the basis of bringing gurus to your show. And I spoke about the reputation of your guests. We will talk in future modules in terms of ethics and governance and then reputation. What do we mean by reputation? What do we look for? How do you research people to establish what reputation they hold in the public? It's not as simple as that. It doesn't really appear on the faces of people. Yeah. Networking, we spoke about that you need to network very extensively. And if you don't have a skill of networking, you can develop it over time. Already we have got 16 of us here. You have seen the names, you have heard people. It is wonderful. Now, this is your network. Start within. And I would like some of you asking Jenny to get the US guys to come to your show. We just have to send them a link. She's our contact there. Jenny, you will probably also ask us to give you South African experts to come to your show. It will be wonderful to have a US South African guest in a show and bring in some contrasting experiences and that building that transatlantic bridge that we want to build. So an element of creativity and imagination is what is required for us to really to be different to other stations. You know, Jenny?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff. The aftercare, we spoke about it. Planning and implementation. All successes and all failures can be ascribed to lack of or poor planning. You know? As the saying goes, failure to plan is planning to fail. Never mind how minimal it could be, but just element of planning, you will save yourself. You do not want to regret for failing to thoroughly plan for the show. Rather over-plan than not planning at all. It does not mean that everything you will have planned to accomplish in the show will be accomplished. As I've said that you can plan to cover 10 things and then you end up covering only 2. That's not a failure. It's just the circumstances, and that's okay. A plan is an orientation that you try to follow, and if the plan to reach high levels doesn't happen, and then at least you will reach the middle level. That will that will save you from really failing to take off. Because failure to take off of a program will spell a disaster for your show. But I'm not intending to scare you. It's just that it's your brand, it's your image, is you. Conduct number 27, know your speaker. Even if you have invited a friend, do work on that speaker so that you know what quality they are bringing in and why, and then justify why you invited them. And in the introduction, you address that, and your speakers will like that, because then you are enriching their self-knowledge as well. So take time to study the profiles of your guests, research them on Google, ask their colleagues or network on LinkedIn for a bit of views on the guests' professionalism or professionally. Avoid being corrupted by their private life stories being accidentally shared with you. You are not there to just take everything. Be critical of what people tell you about people. And that is not really the objective of researching people. You research people to understand where they come from, what informs them, and what shaped them to be who they are. Try to be objective and fair in using that information. Be professional and do not go about discussing your guests with people who have nothing to do with your show. Because as you research people, you will uncover things that you didn't know. Don't go and have coffee sessions with your friends about people, because people will refuse coming to your shows once they know that you caucus about them after you have had interaction with them. Your aim is to understand your guests so that you can present them to your audience and extract valuable lessons from them on behalf of your listeners. Your listeners will love you for being professional in the way you go about facilitating their learning from your show. Conduct number 28, set rules and principles for yourself. Develop your own principles and rules for your show in line with COMETSA values and principles. I've shared those copies with you. You can use them. Stick to your values and stay with your principles. Yeah? Because that is part of your brand. That's part of your image. And they guide you when you don't know what to do. Let your guests, listeners, and other stakeholders know about them, especially when you start with your session number 1. Say those things, what you stand for, what you don't stand for, and what this show is about and what it's not about. You know? So that's very, very... Repeat them regularly at your shows. Don't shy away. Keep on repeating them. That is like your compass. And that way it will safeguard you. When you make a mistake, people will know, it's just a mistake, because in principle, it doesn't stand for this. That is what will build the culture and identity for your show. Conduct number 29, hold briefing. This is very, very important. I know a lot of your guests are very busy. They'll tell you, don't worry, I'll be ready. Don't buy that. If they say that, cancel them. Because they think they are ready and they'll come to your show unprepared. They think because they say he who carries a hammer, everything he sees is a nail to hit. It doesn't work like that. Such type of people who works on standard script will embarrass you. So do not fall into that trap of being too overconfident and buying what they say. I'm ready, I'll just rock up. They undermine your listeners. So you have nothing to lose but only to gain from holding briefings and performing dry runs. During my days in corporate at ABSA, I used to be part of the tendering committee that goes to government and does presentations. We will do dry runs after dry runs until the coach of the team says, I'm now happy. And when you get to the real tender session tomorrow, only 50% of what you have been dry running happens. And then you realize that, you hit it like nobody's business. So dry runs means sometimes standing in front of the mirror and pretending that you are hosting a show, or having that with your sister or your brother and presenting and recording it and then listening to it afterwards. It will be incredibly amazing how fast you are going to grow. Because if you don't plan, you will only learn from the real shows. And the learning from the real shows means you will be actually producing half quality. Yeah? Read and watch news, we spoke about that. Especially just an hour before, go on Twitter and say what is trending. And talk to your speaker an hour before and find out if there is nothing that he or she picked up in the market that could force you guys to change the plan that you've had. Yeah? Represent listeners, we spoke about that. You are there as a facilitator in the interest of the listeners, and the system will give you very dependable and reliable feedback because we'll see the statistics. And what is beautiful, and I see most of our podcasts are downloaded from Belgium, France, and US, and then South Africa. And that we now know already, within these few days, I know that our market is the US, Belgium, France, and South Africa. And then today Michael shared with me that Switzerland popped up. So you really know exactly who are consuming your product, and you think you are talking to South Africans. The whole world is hungry to hear the perspectives of a South African. That's powerful, isn't it? That's the power of internet radio. We don't depend on spectrum. As long as a person has got a link and they've got Wi-Fi, from anywhere in the world, they will be listening to your show. So don't underestimate the reach of this platform. Being fully present, we spoke about that. And then managing time, we spoke about that. Sourcing of topics. As a member of COMETSA and participate in this program, you have access to our online shop that is going to go live from the 1st of November. www.cometsa-goc.com//shop. We have got more than 5,000 themes that you can search in that shop if you really don't know what topic to bring in. So that is really a powerful resource. And as associates, both of you, that is also promoting your business that you will co-facilitate with us for the market out there. Yeah. So you could also be saying, after having presented the ODM design, you can go onto COMETSA platform and tell them that you heard it from Jenny Young's show, and you want Jenny to come and facilitate a workshop for your business. And then most of you are going to become our affiliate marketing subscribers. You just point them to your own website, which has got a link to COMETSA shop, online shop. You have done your job. The affiliate marketing system will identify that person as your client. So those are the spin-offs that will come out of the show in terms of your relationship with COMETSA. And we must use them. The last conduct, 35, check out, please. Even if you are left with 5 minutes, don't say we're running out of time, chase goodbye. That is like finishing a house without a roof. Let's rather just do it however short it is. You saw how I checked in today. I could have asked all of you to check in with body, mind, and spirit. We will still be checking in today. What did I do? Say, one of you check with the body, one of you check on the mind, and one check on the spirit. So be creative how to check out. Just tell people we're closing. And when you finish, please remind people how to tune into the radio, www.cometsaradio.com. That link takes you to the same mobile stream that I've shared with you. I've just redirected that domain name to the mobile stream. Yeah, and then of course give them the call center at cometsa-goc.com if they have feedback for you, then, or if they want to engage with you. There's going to be a lot of you who will be recruited by companies who want you to come and facilitate as MCs or as Master of Ceremonies, Program Directors, as consultants, that we are not perturbed by that as COMETSA. If you become successful because of this, that is the whole objective, because we will always be recognized for that. Make no mistake. We know how the market behaves. And it's for that reason why you are a member of COMETSA and some of your associates. We are proud of that and we want to push it that way. So I will stop here, and we are left with a few minutes. I will want you to reflect and check out. All of you. Check out. I've booked up to half past the hour. If you have to leave, you can leave at the top of the hour. But now the rest of this time, I want you to check out by telling us, please note it down quickly, what was confirmed for you by the session. Yeah, that's the first point. What was confirmed? So the confirmation. And keeping in mind that this is the layout of the modules to come. You will have 14 modules at the end built on this document. And then what are you taking home? And where are you now? And what is next in preparing for your show? Yeah, those are the 4 checkouts. But don't over elaborate. We just want you to check out confirmation, taking home, where are you now in terms of planning for your show, and then the next steps that you are already in. Or if you have already done steps, without over elaborating, just tell us. We're not putting pressure. We just want to know that you are inspired and you are on the move. And Mike can expect surprises from you going forward. Great. I'll leave it there.
Sam.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, I think I sent you a chart. I think you're supposed to have 36 contacts, and there's one number that is repeating itself on your document that you sent through this morning.
Is it?
The contact number 5.
It's repeating itself.
Comes out.
Oh, yes, I see that. Checking in and facilitate. Thank you very much. That's why I made sure that I mentioned that this is a draft. So we will edit the whole document and then send it to you. And you file it in your files. Please keep files. And this is the syllabus. So we are going to take each of those contacts and we are going to drill them deeper. Maybe the next session might be shorter, but we want to really, at the end of the show, make sure that you can even go and work for CNN.
And if I may ask before maybe you do the checkout, as you mentioned something about making sure that you don't check the messages as they come to your phone that you were supposed to have.
Yes.
Have put it on a silent at a time. The challenge on the virtual studio is what means do we use for the producers and the host to have a side chat during the program as and when they need to be?
That is allowed. We're talking about the non-related chats.
Okay.
Non-related chats.
Okay.
But with the studio, definitely.
Okay.
Mm.
So we could be using the mobile.
Yes.
The mobile networks too. Okay.
Yes, but any chat that is not related to your show, don't go for it.
Okay, cool. Noted.
Sure. Yeah? Do you want me to use my list here to just pick you up?
No, I can go first.
Okay.
It's Dendani. No, after all the session, I'm sitting and I'm listening and I'm realizing this is really happening. And it's getting more exciting. I've done one radio show, I think was about 14 years old at a time. We were talking about June 16, and at the time I did not even realize, what was it really all about. But now I'm sitting and I'm realizing things have really changed based on what I've experienced then and what we're about to experience. So for my confirmation is that with the information, I actually listened to the information during the day when you sent it, and now that you are reconfirming, what is about to take place, what is about to happen, I realized this is the greatest opportunity that one and everybody would wish themselves to be part of. And I'm now taking
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Jenny is listening. America, US is the biggest market of African art and culture and music.
Professor, can I be the second one?
Yeah.
Can I be the second one?
Yes, yes, Rapula.
You ask for fundamental questions. Sometimes you don't have to go through the order. You can change the order if you want to. The key one for me was to say, what's next? I think without having this one-on-one session, I had already about 4 or 5 speakers which I've sent them WhatsApp and without full information. And 2 of them have already accepted, so it's for me to just to prepare a little bit of a briefing, which I intend to look in terms of the strategy 101. That's what's next for me. The next question you ask is, what am I taking home? You see, I'm mixing them deliberately. What I'm taking home is preparation. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter how big it is. Preparation. That's what I'm taking home. And then where am I now is to say, I wouldn't say confirm. It's more to say that your fears are actually not fears, are opportunities.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, don't forget of saying, I've not been in a radio as either a DJ or a broadcaster or whatever we call it in the space, to say, I had fears, and I'll confirm those fears. It's more that convert those fears into opportunities. That's basically what I would say I can take with you on this one-on-one session. But probably is the next session. I'll build on me in terms of saying what we are deviate from, but to be monolithic, but to be passed on.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, and well done with the speakers. I'm excited about that. Strategy 101 conversation is definitely the topic for any entrepreneur and any businessman and woman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Next.
I can go next. It's Janae.
Janae.
I just wanted to say what was confirmed for me about the session is how incredible, just like Tendani said, how incredible an opportunity this is. And I'm so struck by how organized everything is, that you've thought in such detail about all of the points, all of the questions that I did have lingering in my mind were answered when you went through a lot of the points. Empowering as you're giving instructions. So that was really thorough, and it confirmed that about COMETSA for me. I think that here in the U.S., and at least the people that I talk to and the people that I network with, will be really excited to hear more from the Voice of South Africa. And I know that there will be people who will be interested in being on not only my show, but just learning about all of you and what you were doing. I took notes when you were speaking. Yes. Everyone was introducing themselves. So, there may be people that I know that could be connected on your show. So I look forward to that. So I'm taking home just thoughts on how to promote the show even further. I have a lot of ideas, and so I'm excited that you give some parameters but leave flexibility. I think that's really powerful for us to be able to promote our brands and also have access to COMETSA inventory as well. So what am I doing now? What am I planning? I'm thinking of my guests. I have a first and second guest in mind. I have people after listening to COMETSA before who would be interested in being a part of the show or listening. So I think it'll be, I'm speaking that I think this will be terrific for some people, and I look forward to planning and sending out the information. My next step was to ask if Michael, if you have something like, it sounds like you would send a link out or information to invite a guest, but do we have I can make my own little blurb, but do we have a blurb that we send out to market to someone that we want to have one, or we create that ourselves?
You create that yourself. You just bounce that with us because you know the people better. And what is important is to make them know, to make them aware that the link into the studio will be sent in many cases an hour before. Because what happens when you plan your show, we go onto the system and we create a talk show. And that the system automatically generate a link for us. And then we take that link, we embed it in our broadcaster app here. And when people click that link, it goes straight into the show we have created, and it comes out in the broadcaster. So if they say, where is the link, how am I going to call in, that just make them aware. But you copy Michael if there are some logistical things that they need before the show. Yeah?
Okay.
We purposefully shy away from dictating. We want to create parameters. We want to create space for creativity. And what we are going to do, as I said, I've sent you an example of an e-flyer that we are doing for Patrick's show. And that e-flyer is going to be used by all of you. You are going to create your own e-flyers, and then we are going to have a combined one that you can show your colleagues in the US, other colleagues in the program, just to enable you to excite them.
Okay, that's great.
And then, of course, we will want you to post your work on your own social media. I'm sure we are going to follow each other on our own platforms.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Sure. Next.
Hi, Sam.
Yes.
Secha.
Hi, Secha.
Yes. Yeah. So what stood out for me is the library, the COMETSA library, to aid in selecting the topics.
Mm-hmm.
Because the show I'm hosting is quite broad. So even now, when I had to think of my first show, there's a lot of ideas bouncing in my head. But the issue is like, what do I choose? What becomes the theme of that program? Then another thing, it was around selecting guests.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is also, it will be a challenge, but hopefully within the next 2 or 3 shows we'll be professionals on that regard.
Absolutely. And you have got dynamic women in the group. Just start with them.
I've already identified one as a co-host. I'll DM them.
Yeah, or make them as a guest.
Yeah. Sure.
Don't go too far. You've got them here.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, I can come in.
Yes, Sydney.
This is Sydney. Yes. So, I just want to say that what has been confirmed for me is that I don't necessarily have to put pressure on myself. I need to be a facilitator to drive conversation, and I need to be able to have, the relevant, more informed information so that I can be able to drive the conversation in a certain way. I think that has been confirmed. And what am I taking home? What I'm taking home is that, COMETSA, first of all, to me, is an educational institution. Because, there's a lot to learn, there's a lot of material to go through. But also, what I'm taking home is the understanding that apart from us positioning ourselves as a brand, but we need also to ensure that we position COMETSA as a brand. Because for the success of one is also a success of another. Where I am now, I am in a position where I would like to improve from the last show that I had, on Sunday, through using the stats that I have received or that Sam is still going to send to me as a benchmark, and put up a strategy on how I can be able to be better than, the last show. What is next in preparation for my next show I think what is next for me, victory or start internally. So is to ensure that I collaborate with, my colleagues in terms of understanding where they are and those that are much more closer to my topic, to look at how I can actually share the vision with them internally and look at how they can support me to be able to, be out there first. And then also, to give myself more time to learn about the industry that I am in, and all that is going around it, so that I can be able to choose the topics that are relevant for the next show. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sydney.
Marcel?
Yes, Abel?
Yeah, no, thanks. What was confirmed is really that this is happening, Whilst it was still being, planned, you thought, where is this going? And now, through this workshop, you realize that indeed this is real, and this is an opportunity to learn and also share what you know. And what am I taking from this is the high quality of, colleagues that are sitting in this visual meeting. There's so much wealth of knowledge and skills that one can tap into to ensure that COMETSA and the efforts that you and your team has gone to bring this kind of a new invention to the game is well positioned, is well marketed, and is well recognized, because you inspire, you empower, and you entertain, which is, through this we shall prosper. As a group, we shall prosper as COMETSA, and probably our members and audience will be able to, see the value of what you're putting on the ground. What's next? One has started to think aloud about how I've identified one or two also of my colleagues here that I
We seem to be losing you there, Abel.
collaborate with, and we can be able to do that sharing ideas. My internet somehow says it's unstable.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, no, thanks. Yeah, it says that my internet is unstable, so now and again I've realized that. So, this is an exciting opportunity, and one has to prepare, and broaden his thinking around latest developments on the subject matter that one has to share and engage in with some of the guests. I've spoken to a few just to create excitement and an opportunity for them to express interest in coming through, from different angles. So there are some baby steps that one has taken, trying to prepare for the virtual day of the second Tuesday of every month.
Yeah.
But thanks for the opportunity. And one is looking forward to this great opportunity. One is hard, and we just have to put our will to the ground and do an excellent job.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I like some of the ideas you shared with me. I'm sure the colleagues can't wait to hear them from you next time.
I think I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt. Sam, Divesh has been having his hand up for a while.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Divesh. I didn't. Oh, yes, yeah, right. Oh, there's a hand. Sorry, man. Yeah, yes, Divesh, and Esme as well. Okay.
No.
Yeah, let's get.
No problem, Sam.
Lovely. Sorry, I didn't watch it.
problem, Sam. I was just actually putting my hand up to have a turn to go next, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. You're on the platform.
Okay, in terms of confirmation for me, today this evening's meeting was just a reaffirmation of, and although the modules seem simple for me, I do realize to put them into practice is going to be the real challenge. And in terms of where to from now, I've had a few guests already in mind. It just needs a matter of discussing with them how we could best share the skills, knowledge, and information that we do have to our listeners out there. And in terms of my feeling, I would say, is that this is going to be a fast-paced but exciting journey of development and sharing, not only growth for myself, but also for the team. And I welcome this opportunity that you presented to me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Divesh. And of course, we will bring you into contact with Ndadestu Mochilwani so that you can actually start planning together. Great, Esme.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much, everyone. This was an amazing session. Thank you very much, Sam, for this 101 module. What has been confirmed for me in the session as you were unpacking the introduction of this program, one confirmation that stood out for me tremendously was the facilitation aspect. I think I was feeling very under pressure, thinking I have to run this topic and I have to know everything about the topic. But the facilitation aspect was very relevant and stood out and confirmed for me that it's about us running a good show, and that from the listener's perspective. So what's been confirmed for me is that I am representing listeners. More than representing how well I am coming across, but representing listeners and giving them valuable content and a learning experience that would make them want to come back to the show. So that confirmation for me took a lot of pressure off me in terms of thinking I am at the heart of this. No, I am not. I'm just a facilitator that has to facilitate a very interesting dialogue with the guest that benefits the listeners. So that was nicely confirmed for me, and it took off a lot of pressure off me in this regard. Also, what I'm taking home is the subject I've been given. I'm very passionate about, so that is a tick on the box for me. And I've already got guests. I just need from Sam to send me a beautiful invitation sort of flyer to invite them and tell them about COMETSA, and also what is the value proposition for them in coming on the show. I think it would make them excited for wanting to come. Some sort of an invitation that is really making them see what the value of it is and how wide this platform is and what it can bring, how it can add value to them. So that was awesome. For me now, taking home is planning. I think planning is very important when it comes to this. I think for me, the topic is so broad, and I have to do planning on what are the themes that I want to focus on that is relevant now, especially post-COVID. So that for me is my take home in terms of preparation and what needs to be done. And then, where am I now? Now I'm in a much better space because I think I have a clear understanding of why we are doing this, where is it going, the process of it, and the logistics of it. So I'm more at ease now and not so, I'm more settled in now. I'm more at ease. I got the logistics of it. So the session was very useful and helpful in that particular regard. And I think it was lovely to meet everyone else. I think it's a brilliant wealth of network of people. And I'm sure we can use each other also as guests on our shows, or we can recommend each other for relevant topics, people that we know would want to be, would be very valuable to the topics that we are running. So yes, I'm very excited. And I'm excited, and I'm more at ease now. I can really breathe. This has just put me at ease, knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and mainly the facilitation aspect for me is the most exciting part. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the relevance of your topic, Esme, transformation and change management post-COVID-19, is definitely going to be very much appreciated by people, because a lot has changed. And how do we embed this new change into our new normal? So definitely. Great. Captain Mbosetse, I saw you raise the hand.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Tsema. What this session has confirmed for me, it's the opportunities. What we always believe to say, in life, opportunities will appear and they will be given. As you constantly, it's how you prepare and how you always ensure that you are ready to take those kind of opportunities. I will say this opportunity, it's what we make of this kind of opportunity. This is a great platform. This is a great initiative for COMETSA family. And I will say it's the sky is the limit. It's how we look at it. Next time, I'm hoping from the list of names that even people will be joining, if we're looking at having any of one of us here being in the high echelon representing us, that will have been a good thing. He will be, or she will be, a great ambassador for having started in this and having grabbed this kind of opportunities which was given by COMETSA platform. So I'm very, very grateful to be part of this initiative by COMETSA.
Beautiful.
Then what I'm taking from the session today, it's just like asthma. I think the nerves, in terms of knowing that I don't have to be an expert. I know I can interact in almost any level, whether it's politics, sports, whether it's religion.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I will just be facilitating. So yeah, it's just to get to really understand and have that balance, and having to understand that and take your role as a facilitator and guide the discussion. And the other one is what I'm taking from this. It's to just ensure that I have to make more time in terms of planning and preparation. While we're talking about time, and I have to highlight one of the veteran broadcaster, which is John Roby. His shows was starting at 6 usually. They will say he will report at studio at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's only now I start to believe that, yes, you have to need more time to prepare for this kind of shows. For 3-hour show, you will be there 3 hours before in terms of preparation. So, yes, I have to make more time in terms of having to prepare, having to ensure that I hone my skill in terms of having to prepare for this kind of show which I'll be presenting. And what's the next step? I've already shortlisted the topics and the people which I would like to bring to the show. It's just to ensure that I brief them and ensure that I certainly have a dry run with them in terms of having to, so that they can be able to understand what's, so that I can be able to, even for me, it can be able to be easily for the first few sessions. I guess as we go on, it will be less and less. But I don't want to be overconfident, as highlighted. I would like to do some dry runs, and I would like to just engage in more material in terms of improving the skills in terms of facilitating this kind of conversation. So I really, and the last one, which is more important, is what I have to think more about. It's how do I use this platform to be more relevant and to impart knowledge and to ensure that we, from our cultures, we can be able to learn, we can be able to document, we can be able to ensure that our next generation can be able to learn from us, and we can be able to learn from the previous generation, from our cultures, our roots, with our diversity. And going forward, there are still things which we can be able to really use, or the values we should not lose, which are even more relevant than ever before. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well said. I see, Pat, you have your hand up.
I think Esme was first, so I'll let her go first.
Esme is done. She forgot to put her hand down.
I think it was me, Sam.
Oh, is that Nokwanda?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, carry on, Nokwanda.
All right. First and foremost, I have to say this is a great opportunity, Sam, for everyone involved. So what has been confirmed for me is the fact that this will be very empowering, and it's a continuation in terms of learning as well. So if we see ourselves as lifelong learners, this should be another platform to learn even further, not just from the platform itself, but from our colleagues and, of course, the supporting members from COMETSA. So that has just been confirmed for me that it's a great opportunity, and I'm taking it with both hands. And I also want to grow within the space. What I'm taking home is the fact that I'm more confident now than I actually came in before the session. So I love the fact that I feel more confident. I feel at ease. I know Esme said that as well. I feel at ease. And I feel that more preparation can be done, and yeah, that's where I am in terms of that. And my colleagues also echo the same sentiment with regards to that.
Beautiful.
Where am I now? At the moment, I'm just doing the content layout with my co-host, and just preparing for our first session, which I'm really excited about. Like you said, preparation. If you need to do a dry run, then we will do that as well, so that we are fully prepared. So at the moment, we're just doing the layout and we're preparing content and possibly a speaker as well.
Beautiful.
And what's next for me? I think for me is just unlocking the networks that I have already. I think a lot of us tuned in this in the session have a lot of networks, but how many networks have you actually used to unlock the possibilities in future? So I think that's the big thing for me, is unlocking the networks that I have, so that it benefits the shows, it benefits my colleagues, and it also benefits COMETSA at large.
Great. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to your show. I think, Pat, you next now.
Yeah, thanks, Seb. Yesterday I was very excited, and my confirmation is that maybe my being excited yesterday was a little bit premature. But yeah, what just been confirmed to me is that the excitement of yesterday was the feeling that we almost there, we're ready. But I do realize that there's still quite a lot of work to be done, and it can be done. The 1st of November sounds far, but it's actually not far. It's around the corner, and there's no time to waste, and we need to go on preparation overload to make sure that we're ready then. Even though, although I think we have good guests for our show to be able to help us set a proper tone for our development of sports, art, and culture in as far as we see it, and we want to paint it as a picture out there. I think we still halfway in our preparation, and we need to see to it that we are there soon, and so that we don't find ourselves less prepared at a time when we come in, but that can be achieved, and we will work on that with immediate effect. I'm now going home thinking that I have little or no time to rest at all, and needing to make sure that we press that preparation overload button, and make sure that we over prepared at the least, and we myself together with you and Mike and the guests that we have outlined, we have planned to bring in for the 1st of November. We need to make sure that we're on the same page and we speak the same language in terms of what we need to achieve with that first session, and I can only hope we will be fine with that. But I'm very confident. And where am I now? A little bit of pressure, and in terms of making sure that the plan that is already been put down, it's a little bit refined, and it makes sense to all the interested parties. And see to it that it will produce what we wish for it to produce. So the pressure somehow is there. However, I feel I have enough support around me that will see us through. Pastor Sydney had a trial run, or had a show run last week, and I'm sure we can learn from that as well, and I'm sure we'll be fine. Yeah, and we just need to make sure that is done. The next step, I put a call to all my colleagues, especially those in sports, art, and culture, to say we post my my meeting with Sam and Mike that will be happening the next day or two, I would like to have a chat with them on our group to say what's gonna be happening on our show, and hopefully get to know what their plans are also on their show, and also to put a challenge, not a challenge or request to them to say we all need to be standby for one another in terms of just a support and being there to help each other in terms of hostings and preparations and execution of the plans that we have, and especially because we're going to be dealing with the same subject matters going forward. So it's a good opportunity, and I look forward to it with anxiety and excitement. And I thank you and Mike for the wonderful work that you did, and I'm sure we will, following your lead, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Wonderful. Am I right to say that you are applying the concept of having high-profile standing guests?
High-profile standing guests, yes.
Because that's the model. Because that's the model on his own as well, and other people should also, if they feel strong that there is a subject matter experts out there that are really prominent and are authority in topics, that are willing to be standing guests, not to say every month, but sort of like you agree with them that they are going to be regulars. So you should also.
As a matter of fact, and I hope they don't make a U-turn on me at any time.
Yes.
All of them had indicated. 3 of them had indicated to me that they will be available as and when required. They are good experts in their subject, in the subject or the field that we going to be working on.
Yeah.
And I'm very confident that we will get a lot out of them. I'm very confident that they are excited about the opportunity, and they sound to be looking forward to it. I hope tomorrow never changes anything, and we can still have them for the next 14 months, or as per our conversation that we had with them, and beyond that. And hopefully those that are lined up to be joining us on the sports art and culture going forward as well, that I've shortlisted that still to speak to, will also find the opportunity exciting, and we will form a strong team that will educate and develop this country for us going into the future, and of course the world at large, because we will be streaming worldwide.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Pat. Yeah, that's the model that colleagues can consider. If you have people that really love this and want to be standing and they are authority in their topic, no problem with that. You could always have them there. If you have a slot that takes 2 hours to 3 hours, you have that opportunity. That the 1 hour of the 3 can be a regular slot for somebody that's an authority, and the others you bring new people. So that is doable. Judith?
Hi. Okay, so I'm not going to take much time because I'm looking at the time, and there's still a lot of people that I have to say what they thought about the session. So I'm going to be quick. The first question was, what was confirmed for you in the module? I'm going to be honest. So for me, this has given me enough reason to believe that this is something serious. You know? I knew that, but after thorough explanation, it has actually given me facts and reasons of me to believe that this is actually something that I need to actually pay careful attention to and take it seriously. You know, when people say that you're about to join radio, it's as a young person and what's happening around us right now and how the world is actually evolving, you're like, okay, anybody can do radio. But then you actually start getting to know the background of the kind of radio that you're actually getting into, which is online radio. And then you actually start to look at the stats and realize that you guys are basically one of the first people to actually do online radio. And you're like, okay. So I guess, yeah, I have to take this seriously. But I just want to share, like, my experience. I said I'm not going to be long, but one thing that I actually realized is that I don't know if it's called luck or that's just one of my purposes on this earth, is that I always start new things. Or ever since, from preschool, every time I get to a new place, there's always something new developing or starting. And I'm always part of that. So I guess that's one of the things that I really have to pay careful attention to and start to take them seriously. So I'm really interested and excited to see how there's... I know it's going to be a big thing. We all know this is going to be huge. Everything becoming a technological world. Everything's going digital. So people are starting to get more lazy in terms of studying textbooks and learning certain things. So they'd rather hear certain things than actually read about them. So we all know that this is going to be... But it all requires hard work and determination. So it's going to be a very rough road for me to say, because I'm heading the ICT slot. ICT changes on a daily basis. So if you're not up to speed, then you're behind already with a few hours. So it puts you on that spot that you need to be on your toes and need to know what's going on around you so that you give the best possible information as you can. So I guess I've summarized all the questions. So I think,
yeah. And the next steps for you?
Yeah, the next thing for me, I guess I'll have to talk about it in the next meetings because it's something I'm currently working on, and I don't like talking about things that I'm working on unless I actually know for sure that this is what I've done. So I'll update that, but there's definitely some things that I'm working on. I'm not sure if most of you are aware, but Mr. Zima once mentioned that there will be a website development. So I'm still working on my personal website to see how that goes before I actually start creating websites for people. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, there's a lot happening. And at this point right now, I think the main thing for me is to put my priorities in order and work according to that. I mean, for me, quality takes priority over quality. So quantity, if I may put it like that. So the best work for me actually puts out what kind of a person that I am and what I actually take seriously. So I don't like speaking about things that I'm actually working on unless they're actually done.
Beautiful.
That's what's happening for me. But this was a nice session, and hopefully we're going to have a great time together, guys. And it was nice meeting all of you.
Good stuff. I like that new principle of yours, or is an existing principle. You know, you don't like talking about things that you're still working on. We'll keep that in mind. And of course, people can put the face to the name in terms of that fact that you will be there to help people who wants to create their own websites. They now know who that person is, and hopefully you can be helpful there from the ICT point of view. Who's next? Who hasn't spoken?
I haven't spoken, Mr. Zima.
Good. Tembela.
Yes. So for me, what was confirmed is that all of us in this meeting are so fortunate to have this opportunity. And I know that I definitely am going to do my best to rise to the occasion. And then in terms of what am I taking home, I think it's a self-belief in myself, because when I hear how much you believe in all of us, Mr. Zima, it's actually inspiring that we should all see the greatness within ourselves. And where am I now? I want to refine the vision that I have for the 2 shows that I'll be facilitating. And that just leads to the next point of what's next. And so that entails creating a vision board, networking more. It also involves aligning my social media communications, because now I need to start thinking of myself as a brand and looking at what my values are and what COMETSA's values are, and aligning those two so that it's easier to have that synergy across both. So I'm doing a lot. I'm going to do a lot of thinking, and also just my action plans around that, just refining the vision and my intention for the show and what I want the listeners to take away from listening to the show. Yes, thank you so much.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. We look forward to that. And we left Stu who hasn't spoken, and Michael.
Yes, I haven't spoken, Sam. Thank you. Stu, I want to start by thanking you for a very informative presentation. And what was confirmed is that it is happening. It is an opportunity. It's a learning platform to engage and share our experiences. What I'm taking home is that it is happening in the digital world. One has never thought of a virtual studio. So COVID-19 has taken us many steps forward, or many years forward. So we see today many people are working from home. So this has been a take-home for me.
Beautiful. Great start. Thanks, Stu. Mr. Malava, you're the last one.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Sam. I'm Michael Malava. In terms of my checking out, the confirmation, as Evel have said, that the show is really happening. As I'm working on the background, it's just a thought of doing the papers and editing all the studio and uploading the songs and all stuff. So now it came to clear that when Patrick prepared the design for marketing, he says, oh, this thing is really happening, hey? Yeah, so in terms of take home, it's to learn more, of course, in terms of this new radio that we are doing, because we were previously with the other one. So it's to learn more with this one and also engage with Mr. Zima and the rest of the colleagues. Where are you now? Now I'm busy at the planning, at the background, because I'll be the managing the show, so I need to make sure that everything is aligned. I also will share everything that I have with you guys so that we can align going forward. The next step is, of course, to communicate thoroughly and transparent with you so that the show can really happen. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Great stuff from my side. I want to thank you so much for taking your time to be part of this kickoff meeting. We have indeed recorded this because we are mindful of the other colleagues that have apologized who couldn't attend. People like Emmanuel Njang from Botswana. He lost his uncle, so he's not able to attend. So they are preparing the funeral. May the uncle's soul rest in peace. Dade Giviti Nchumayelo has apologized. He's busy with some business matters. Joe Masinya had the difficulty of downloading the app. Ingrid Skosana she said she was on the move somewhere else. So they will all be able to receive this podcast and catch up with us. And we are very excited in the office that this has happened. It started and we are seeing some positive responses already from the stakeholders. We know exactly which people you are talking to, and we are very excited about it. We can't wait to receive your inputs. You will receive that template I've shared with you that we are using to populate Patrick's one, but you'll get the more designed one later, so you'll see the final design one, how it looked like. And we will still ask you to rethink about the picture, because when we are at the design level of your brochure, we'll get our designers to be in touch with you, and they will get to comment as well if they think the quality of the picture you've given is not right. I will always encourage people to go to studio and take more professional picture, depending on what you are doing. If you are doing sports, it might be more sports related. If you're doing business, it might be corporate wardrobe, whatever. But at the end of the day is how you want to show up there. Thank you very much. We've gone long over time, but I think it was necessary. May I ask Pastor Sidney Hateve to close the session with a prayer. After that, I will want to say, take care, be good. We're looking forward to the journey with you.
Thank you so much. We can close our eyes. Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, you are God our Father, you are God our Creator. Father, you know that this is a project that you initiated from the beginning of the earth. You knew that this was the timing that it should be launched. And Father, we decree and declare that whatever we're going to do, we're not going to do it with our power, but by your grace and by your Spirit. Lead us, guide us, coach us, direct us in terms of where we are going. I pray for each and every presenter, DJ that is here. Father, you know the intentions and the desires of their hearts. They would like to get this station, COMETSA radio station, to be known globally. But Father, as their own brands are being created today, this is a launch meeting. Father, we know that the angels will help us, and they were listening to this conversation. Whatever has been discussed here, let it be translated into what we want to achieve. Father, we pray for the audience that whatever program that is on the TV or on the radio station, we pray that, Lord, you are the one who is able to identify the issues from those who will be listening to the station. Let them be healed. Let them be a part of us as a family. And let everyone, Father, come into this COMETSA radio station, which is our new family. I pray for each and everyone here as we leave. May the grace of God be upon them. May the angels of the Lord minister to them. In the mighty name of the Lord Jesus, in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
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 Goodbye, colleagues. Travel safe, those who are traveling. Until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.